Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Aletha joining me. Hi, Aletha.
Hi.
Hey guys, we have a really exciting video. It's how to create the relationship you want. So yeah, this video is for you if you want to change your current relationship or you are trying to manifest somebody. We're going to go in depth about what you need to change within yourself to be able to manifest the relationship that you want. So it's so exciting. Just before we dive into it, guys, we are giving away a free course, How to Find Your Blocks to Manifest Anything Fast. It's free. Link is in the description below, as well as Aletha's 50% off for coaching. She's filling up really fast. Absolutely amazing. Sale's not going to last for long, so definitely check it out. Her clients are getting so much amazing success. So yeah, let's dive into this. So I think one of the biggest things, when it comes to creating the relationship you want, is watching our perception that we have of the situation. So I'm going to tell you guys a little scenario that happened actually just last night, and so you guys can help to learn from it to illustrate my point. So lately at night, what's been happening, right, is like when I get up to the bathroom, Andrew turns on the light. And then he goes to the bathroom. So when I get out of the bathroom, the light's on. And I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it's very difficult to fall back. Like turning on the light wakes me up, right? So now all of a sudden I'm like, boing, I'm a little bit awake. And so finally, this has been happening for a while. So finally last night, when Andrew got back from the bathroom, I was like, why is the light on? Like, why are you turning on the light? I'm like, it wakes me up. And I was actually quite annoyed by it because I'm holding this thought and making it mean that, he's just doing this to annoy me, right? And then all of a sudden he says, well, I need to have the light on to put my earplugs back in and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, okay. And all of a sudden, my perception in that moment shifted from he's not just trying to annoy me, he actually needs the light on for something. So then I was like, oh, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, now I feel mean. So I was like, well, I said to him, I'm like, okay, well, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'll live with it. And he was like, well, no. He's like, well, I'll just turn on the light when I come back in the room just for the few seconds that I need to, and then turn it off. And I was like, oh, okay. So my point with that story is that the perception I'm holding of the situation will change, basically if I was holding that he's just doing this to annoy me, and then I would get upset about it and angry about it, then I'm never going to change the situation. But when I stop and change my perception of the situation, as soon as I realized that he needed the light on because he needed to do something, then I was like, oh, I'm like, he's not just doing it to be this kind of person. And then I was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't want the light on, but I was like in the 3D, I was like, no, that's okay. I'm like, sorry, go ahead, whatever you need to do. And then he actually countered back with, okay, well, I'll only turn it on when I come back in the room for the few seconds I need it. So we both got our resolves, but it only became that way because I changed my perception in the moment, right? From holding that annoyance to actually realizing that he wasn't just doing things to randomly annoy me. Right. So
yeah, exactly. And we often forget. Sometimes we're not really paying attention or being closely connected to what we're thinking, and then we wonder why certain things are happening in our 3D reality, or why we're having issues with relationships. I can't even say this. Issues with our specific person or anything in our lives. And it's because of the concept that we're holding about the situation or about ourselves. And then that's being projected out of us and then, of course, reflected back. And so that if we change it to something that is going to be in our favor, that we do want to experience, then because we predict our futures, we predict our present according to what our thoughts are. And when we change our perception of something, then that changes the situation. And we aren't stuck. And sometimes I think we are stuck in places, and we're not. It's just how we're thinking.
Well, exactly. It's like our subconscious mind, if we're holding a thought that, say, for instance, relationships never work out for us, then we're always going to see evidence of that. We're always going to prove ourselves right. So if we have the perception, the concept of ourselves that we only ever get players, then everything the other person does, we are going to interpret it that way and give it that meaning because we're meaning-making machines. So first of all, everything is empty and meaningless. Everything is only created because you thought it. It doesn't actually have any meaning. So like, for instance, let's say I'm holding a thought that Jerry, is going to leave me. Here's Jerry. He's like, I'm leaving you. And he walks off, right? Okay. So Jerry leaves me. Now, what people sometimes do will take that thing that they've manifested and then take it personally and make it mean something about themselves. Like, oh, I'm not good enough, right? But that was a meaning you gave their actions, that, you know, they rejected me and because I'm not good enough. But that doesn't mean any of that. It was just a thought that we had. Do you know what I mean? Like just a thought, and then it manifested. And then when we start making it mean something about ourselves, we create this story about ourselves. And a lot of times we need to change that story about ourselves to, you know, basically just being the observer of our world rather than making all these meanings about, you know, the situation, what they mean and what it means about ourselves, right?
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that I do with my clients is that, what are those meanings? And I ask them what they're meaning, what they're thinking about the specific person. And that's a good example with, you know, if you think they're a player, and then we're surprised when evidence of that shows up in our 3D, because we gave it that meaning, and then we focused on it and gave it our attention. And then we looked at ourselves like, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or, you know, or they wouldn't be out there doing whatever they're doing and with other people. And, but when we change our perception and we look at, and we change, what I like to do is just change the whole story. Just change the whole story. Just create a whole new version of what if I have a version, or I have a client who has a version of a person that they don't want to experience, and that don't want to experience those things with that person, then why don't we just create a whole new story? Because we know the one that we just created isn't what we want. It's not working. We did it somehow. So we have to live with it. No, we don't. We can create a whole new story. And so when we list all the things that person that we want to experience with that person, and then we align ourselves with that person, you know, our intentions or our belief systems to be in alignment with that I am valuable, I am worthy to be with this person, you know, and all those sort of things. And then we then we realize we got a whole new relationship. So if we live from that whole new relationship, because whatever I am conscious of being, that's what manifests. So if I'm conscious of being and having this beautiful relationship, conscious of being and having a really healthy self-concept, and conscious of being and having this beautiful relationship with this man or woman, this SP, that is everything my heart desires. If I'm conscious of that more than any of don't give attention to the 3D anymore, and I stay there, persist in that, then that's going to show up. And because often I've noticed something goes wrong in the 3D, and then they do what you said a moment ago, sign the meaning. We have to assign the meaning that we want to experience. And the way to do that, I think sometimes is the most practical, is just to create a whole new story, obviously.
Exactly. And then, you know, something that totally popped in my mind was boundaries. You know, we
Yes.
hear about creating boundaries, and I do think creating boundaries is important to have the relationship that you want. Now, do I believe in creating boundaries in the 3D? Absolutely not. I don't believe in going up and saying, hey, I think you need to treat me with respect, Jerry. Did you hear that, Jerry? I think you need to treat me with respect. Now, I mean, that is coming from me not thinking Jerry treats me with respect. So I have to verbally go out and say something to him. Now, I say no to that. What I suggest for creating boundaries is creating them with your self-concept. So you say, everybody treats me with respect. Right there, you've created a boundary for yourself. You've said, this is what I accept. Everyone treats me with respect. Now, everyone has to reflect back treating you with respect. So when you want to create boundaries in your relationship, you're really just creating the rules of the game of how everyone's going to show up for you. So sit down and go, okay, how do you want to be treated? So a really good thing, thing that I say all the time is, if you don't want to be treated disrespectfully, never accuse anybody of treating you disrespectfully. If you never want anyone to treat you badly, don't accuse them of treating you badly. It's about changing your perspective on that situation, and then identifying, okay, your self-concept. I'm a great girlfriend. Relationships always work out for me. I'm always treated with respect. I always get what I want, and really starting to create those things that you want to show up for yourself, because ultimately you create the way somebody shows up in your reality with your perception and the meaning that you give it, and ultimately your thoughts, right?
Yeah, right. And when we go out into the 3D and try to correct things, or try to take a stand for treating me with respect, you never treat me with respect, and I'm not heard by you, and you do that in the 3D, again, it's everything you just said. We're coming from a place of lack, of not having the things that our hearts desiring, expecting that person to give it to us because we're opening our hearts to them. But the bottom line is we created that person to treat us the way they're treating us. And it's all because of our self-concept. And if I'm going to them with basically a lousy self-concept, what am I going to expect to get back from them? A lousy reaction. And so it is so much wiser to go into the 4D, create the new boundary, that everyone does treat me with respect. My SP treats me with respect, loves me. I am heard by my SP, gangs on my every word, and then allow that to be manifested out into the 3D. And it saves us a lot of grief too.
Yeah.
Internal, and we don't have to, it's like we're battling ourselves, only we've got another person in there that we're feeding them the information to battle with us.
Right. Exactly. And one thing I want to caution is just because you've created it doesn't mean that you're to blame and you're a doormat. It's only your perception and your assumptions that need to change. It's not personal, right? So, when say Jerry shows up and he's being a mean teddy bear, it's about me taking responsibility for my assumptions and my perception of the situation and changing it. It's not about, oh, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why did I deserve this? Why am I creating this? I'm no good. No, that's just creating another story about yourself and taking it personally. It's about being the observer of your life and never taking anything personally. It's just going, oh yeah, you know what? I totally was complaining the other day to my friend about Jerry not being respectful, and here he is doing it now. So I need to change that. Jerry's always respectful. And it's not about, internalizing it and beating yourself up for it or letting people off the hook. Whenever I create someone to be disrespectful to me, the first thing I do is I intend that they take responsibility for it and apologize, and then they change their behavior, right? So it's very much like, it's not going, oh, I did it. Oh, I'm to be to blame. I got to be the doormat here. I have to apologize to them. No, because how this works is when you create an assumption and a thought that, oh, Jerry's disrespectful, he thinks it's his idea. He doesn't know it's your idea. So, it's not about going to him in 3D going, oh, Jerry, I'm a manifestor and I created you to be disrespectful. It's all my fault. No, it's like in your mind, okay, you've created Jerry to go, oh, I'm going to be disrespectful. Now, in your mind, changing that assumption so he thinks to himself, oh, you know what? I've been disrespectful. I should apologize and change my behavior. So still holding the people responsible in your 4D world and changing, but you're responsible for changing your assumption, which will change them, but you're still holding them responsible and accountable in your 4D world because they are still players in the 3D world. Okay. They are all a part of you, but it's not all your fault. It's just You need to change the assumption. So I don't want anyone to get that confused because I do see comments about that. And it's like, no, you're not to blame. You're not the doormat. You just need to change that assumption and never take it personally. Like it's a game. It's like a video game. It's like a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I actually have clients who have come to me with that, feeling like so bad because I've created this and I'm just this horrible person. Never. What you said is so true. And if we're creating things that we realize because we're the observer of our thoughts that we want to change, or if someone's treating us a certain way because we had a thought that they were going to do that and then they showed up doing that, all we have to do is what you said, just change that perception or that assumption of that person. And to remember that if I'm creating these things, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, well, I'm the solution too. I can change it back to what I want. So I had a thought or I said to a friend that they're always stingy, and then, or stingy with compliments, and then of course that's what happens. But I can always say, they just lavish me with compliments. Just change it because I am the solution. If I think I have a problem, well, I'm the solution to the problem. And according to how I think, what my assumptions are, what my perceptions are.
Exactly. So I intend, you guys, that there was a lot of great information in there to help you. So thank you so much for being here today, Aletha.
Thank you for having me.
And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And Jerry says bye. Bye.